First, like I like to do, we're going to try to break down the stroke. So if you've missed any of our videos from prior, we've been working with the one that I consider most important brush stroke that you could learn, and it is this one here. We use this to create it's a push-pull lift. We learned this stroke to create our leaves. We learned to modify it just slightly to make rounded edges on our violets. So we use the same stroke. Last week we came in and made our loose watercolor peonies, modified that stroke even more. And then guess what tonight, guys? We're going to use that same stroke modified, and I'm going to show you if you can paint a heart and a few lines. I believe you can paint a peony. Okay, so I'm going to grab a pencil, and I'm just going to use my sketchbook here really quickly. Let me know in the comments what your favorite flower is and what you would like to see other than the 3 that we've already done. And if it's something other than a flower, I want to know that too. We are going to be painting the floral flamingo on Monday in our workshop private group. If you want information on that, drop me a note below in the chat, and I'll make sure to send you the link for that. So anyway, when you think about a peony, let me grab a reference book. I have this beautiful book called A Year in Flowers. I love this book. All of the gorgeous flowers in here, right? So I'm just going to flip through here and find us a really pretty peony just to study for a second. Let's see. All right, here's a really pretty pink one. So I'm going to pull this over here, and just bear with me, guys. So I'm going to zoom in just a bit here. Hopefully it won't get too blurred. Okay, so I want you to take a look at this bouquet right here. This one right here. Or this one is fine. But when you look at the peony, the first thing you notice is that A, they're round. Secondly, they're like an orb. So they're round, but they're like a ball. Here's one up here, pretty clear that you can see. It's like a ball. Now, the more they open, they're still rounded. They're still circular. And they are still bulbous and orb-like. We're going to focus on painting a peony like this one this evening and somewhat like this one. But when we look at this, we see, first of all, a ball. We see a light spot in the middle. We see darker down at the base of the peony. Let me pull out just a bit so it's a little blurry. Sorry, guys. We're going to get right to painting. But anyway, that is what a peony, when you think of a peony, that is what we think of. Here's some white ones. Look how beautiful. But we think of a ball. We think of an orb. Here's one here. So I'm going to put this to the side. We can pull it back in as we need to. So when we think of a peony, we think of, and that quickly, I lost my pencil. Oh, there we go, guys. There we go. Pull this down. So when we think of a peony, we think of a ball or an orb, okay? And it's 3-dimensional. So if we were to turn this ball, it's not like, all right, so here's my face powder, okay? This is round just like this ball. Hey, Cindy, thank you for joining us. I know a few of you are on. Stop by and say hi. I think I'm seeing comments on YouTube. So if you're following in the Facebook group, this technology, guys, I just want to paint the pretty pictures. They make it so hard. So if you're watching in the Facebook group and I don't see your comment, I promise you I will come in and look. But yeah, they're just making it so hard to be able to share this. So we think we see the ball, the circle, it's just like this, okay? Now the thing is with a peony, when think about a daisy, if a daisy is round as well, when we turn the daisy on its side, so it was, say it's pointing off to the side, it's more of a flat, it would kind of look more like a flat cup shape or something like a bowl, okay? But when we think about a peony, it's round when we're looking at it. But when we turn it on its side, it's also round. So think about a tennis ball, a baseball, think about an orb. It's round on all sides. So whether we're looking at it from the top or from the side, right? This would be the side view of our peony. No matter which way we're looking at it, it's going to be an orb. Now, as they really open up, you know, they're not a perfect circle. They'll become more of an oval, but you get what I'm saying. It's not a flat flower. So how do we paint three-dimensional, right? I'm going to show you a few tricks. We're not going for a super hyper realistic peony today. We are going for the resemblance of a peony. Okay, and I want to tell you, if you can paint those beginner strokes, I'm going to show you again. So let's get our watercolor here. I'm going to come right into this circle. Okay, so let me get some color mixed up. I'm just going to take some of this pink. Ooh, that's got some purple in it. We're going to be painting a really dark peony there. So let's change up. I'm going to grab some of this red. I'm just going to mix up some color, okay? I'm going to use it, doesn't matter. This is our sketchbook, right? So we remember that push, pull, lift. So I'm going to drop my brush down. I'm going to press it all the way flat so that the belly of the brush is laying. So the brush is going to do yoga, right? The belly of the brush is going to hit the paper. And I'm then going to wiggle it. And I'm going to pull it back. And as I'm pulling back, I'm going to lift that brush up, back to a point. Now, the faster that I pull it back, the sharper the point that I get. If I don't want a sharp point, let me get some more color. If I don't want a sharp point, I can put down, press down on the belly, wiggle, 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 pull back slightly, pull back, and then lift up. Right, so I'm going to get a little bit of a point, but we can always come in and round that off, okay? If you can do this, I guarantee that you can paint a peony, okay? So practice these if you need to. If you've been painting with me the last couple of weeks, I'm sure you've practiced by now. But if you can paint a heart, I'm going to show you that you can create something that resembles a peony, okay? So we're going to come over here now and we're going to practice. I'm just going to get a bunch of this color on my brush. All right, so I'm going to come here. I'm going to drop my brush, right? Drop it. I'm going to press it and give it a good wiggle. I'm going to pull it back down to about here and lift up. I can go a lot lighter with my color, but I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. So now I'm going to come over to the other side and I'm going to drop it. I'm going to give it a little wiggle. It doesn't have to be perfect. And as a matter of fact, the less perfect it is, the better. So I've painted a heart. Okay, if you can do that, you are going to be able to paint a peony with me tonight. So let's come over here and I'm going to practice. I'm going to show you something. We're going to cut the peony in half, right? I'm just going to cut it in half 4 ways. 4 slices of a pie. Just imagine that. This peony, and we're going to think about the center of the peony is the circle right here. And everything else, this is where it's going out and around. It is an orb, remember. It's a ball, okay? So when I look at this, I want to leave this part of this. I'm going to leave it blank, okay? I am going to come in here and I am going to draw myself a nice little heart shape right here. Okay. And now, look, we're going to practice this a couple times, but I told you, we're going to break things down. Anything is doable if you break it down into the simple steps. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to wiggle my brush. I'm going to pull it over and lift. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to maybe just come in from the side, press down on the belly, pull it down, and let it meet. Okay. So I've just created one petal of my peony. Okay. Now, if we know how to do this stroke, I'm going to paint. So this was number 1. We did that one. Number 2, I'm going to add one here. And number 3, I'm going to add one over here. We're going to do this a couple times. So I'm going to come in with my brush. I'm left-handed. If you're right-handed, it's just going to look the same flipped for you. I can do it with my right hand, right? I'm going to press that brush down. We're going to do some yoga, get it down on its belly. We're going to pull it towards us or towards the bottom base of the flower. I'm going to pull it. As I'm pulling it, I'm going to lift it up to a point. And really, it's all my preference as to how much of a point I want left on the base of that petal. Now, if you look here, I'm leaving white space between the petals, but I'm not worried about it being perfect. I like it when it touches a little bit. So this is what's going to leave you with a lot of interest in your watercolor painting. So remember, that's petal number 2. Petal number 3, I'm going to come, and I'm staying within my orb. It's okay if you go outside the lines a little bit. Life's more fun when you go outside the lines. Okay, so I'm going to press this down. Remember, I'm going to pull this out and around. I'm using my right hand now, but I'm making that comma stroke that we did here, but I'm making it this to go. We're coming around, right? So I can pull this down. I can let them meet. I can come back and drop some extra color in, but see, I've done my heart and my 2 comma strokes around my center. Okay. Now, I'm going to come back over here, grab some more paint. I'm now just going to do an upside down heart shape here, right? So there's the 2 humps, and I'm flattening it out just a bit. And I'm just going to close that off with a rounded bottom. Instead of, I'm going to just really round that almost like a rainbow. And then think about a B, maybe a B or a heart shape, and then I'm just going to fill that in. You can leave white space. White space, remember, our white of our paper is what creates a highlight when we are working with watercolor. Okay, so remember now, if you can do a few lines, so just coming over here and doing our lines, 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 and we practice lines. You could do just a whole page. Keep those lines as light as you can, and practice pressing down to the belly of the brush and making really big, thick, fat strokes as well, right? So I can come in here now and I can just add a few little lines. I can come off to the side and add a line and a line. So I'm going to add, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do this again. Let me know if this is working for you guys, if it's making sense. I really do want to know if this is going to help demystify making a peony. So that was 4. I added 2 little lines here, and I'm going to add 1, 2 little lines here, and I can add a third and just pull it up. And I have basically made a peony, right? So I'm going to use that same brush. I'm going to come in. I don't have any yellow on this palette, believe it or not. Let me just grab something else that I might have here. All right, I have my core palette, so let's wet that. I'm going to use the same brush and just get some of that really beautiful yellow. I'm just going to use the tip of my brush, and I'm going to just flick a few. Remember, this is where our line practice comes in. Are we able to see that clearly? Looks a little bit blurry to me, which is so annoying. All right, so there we go. I'm just going to make a bunch of little lines for my peony center. And if it touches my purple and blends a bit, so be it. I'm going to grab a little bit of green, and I'm just going to drop some of that in there as well. So that's the center of our peony. What do you guys think? I think that's doable. We can simplify it a little bit even better, right? So we'll look at this top orb now. So we've just painted one that's slightly opened. And for our one that is closed, we're going to come in. We're going to paint elongated, really elongated strokes. These are heart strokes, are comma strokes. So I know, say I'm going to imagine that the top of my flower is here, but it's not open. So I can imagine that there are petals just all around this ball. Okay, so I'm going to drop my brush and do a little, almost like a U shape here, sideways U, which is a comma, just tilted on its side. I can grab some more water. I can do maybe that heart-shaped stroke here on the front and just fill that in a bit. Now remember, leave some white space between your petals. There's a lot of water there, but I'm painting loose and in my sketchbook, so I'm not really worried about it. I'm going to add some of that deeper, darker purple in there around my edges. See how I'm just dropping that in? And that will give me some shading. I'm going to take a little bit of that color off of the brush with some water. And then I'm just going to come in on this side, put another petal and another petal. I want this bottom to be darker because I want to show my shading. Okay, so we'll get into that another day. Let me know if you need me to talk a little bit more about shadow and light, but we're adding some shadow down here to the bottom of our flower. Okay, is this good with everybody so far? I want you to either tap that like button that you like this video for me, subscribe or share, let others know about our channel. If this is helping you, I need you to let me know. Okay, so if you could do that for me tonight, that would be wonderful. And I'm going to come in and we're going to add a stem and some loose leaves to our peonies. I'm going to dry this really quickly because I'm going to flip to the next page so that we can make a nice pretty piece of art with our peony. Let me dry this. Just bear with me a sec, guys. While we're waiting for paint to dry, if you could also let me know down in the chat, if you know peonies, what's your favorite color peony? Do you have a certain, because there are peonies that only have like 4 or 5 leaves. Then there are so many different varieties. Let me know in the chat either what your favorite variety is or your favorite color. Did that, hold on guys, 1 second. Sorry about that. I'm so impatient. Like you see me here blotting off our peonies because I can't wait to turn the page. Pink is my favorite. I think I'm probably gonna mess this up, Sin, but I think they're some kind of I want to say Carl Carl Lagerfeld or something like that, but they're this gorgeous color peony. Just gorgeous. So you can go in all loosey-goosey if you want. I'm going to use my pencil. I'm going to lightly, well, I can do it a little bit darker so that you can see it. It's in my sketchbook. So I'm going to draw a nice big circle. And just like we did on this page, I'm going to imagine my center right there where all of the yellow pieces are. Lisa, hello, girl. Is it fabulous? Thank you, sister. I hope that this is helpful for you. Um, I love painting. I love to share what I do. I love to break down the hard stuff into make it less intimidating. Okay, so let's do maybe one of the smaller closed bulbs up here because usually they grow, mine do anyway, they grow in like groups of three. So I'm going to just come in here now. And just like we did on the first page, I'll move a little bit quicker because I don't want to bore you guys. I mean, we've already been on about a half an hour. Um, I got some black in here for some reason with my pink, and I don't like that. So anyway, let's get some of this beautiful red over here off to the side and some water. Okay, now these are just my water over here, clean and dirty. Let me pull that in so you can see what I'm doing. I don't want to go extremely bright, but it is what it is. I'm going to paint with a lot of water. So I'm going to come in first with my first stroke. I'm going to come in with that belly of my brush. Now remember, if you are left or right-handed, it's going to look like this. I can do this with my right hand, but there's no guarantees it's going to look great. But I'll do my first stroke this way. Press that belly down, press it, pull it down, and lift it up. We're creating that somewhat of a heart shape. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm breaking it down into recognizable shapes so that we're not so intimidated. Okay, you are so welcome, Lisa. I'm just going to tap a little bit of extra color down at the base of that petal. I'm going to grab a little bit of water. I just dipped the tip of my brush into my water, and I'm going to tap it off on the side. Okay, so now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to drop my brush. I'm going to pull it around, and I'm going to make a comma stroke. I can tap in some more color. I can let them meet. Doesn't have to be perfect. We can let them meet, right? This is not, we can meet the parents here. I'm going to come and do another one on this side, pull it around. So this is just a really simple open peony. Not too many leaves. Not too many petals. If you don't like it, you can always come over it again. But try not to overwork your watercolor. Let it dry and see what it looks like. So this top one, I'm going to do a 2 little bump there. And I'm just going to close that in, right? Because there's an orb on that side. That's an orb up there as well. Okay, I do want my outer edge to be a bit darker because I'm trying to create a little bit of shadow. While this is wet, we can add in color. Let the watercolor do what it's going to do. Okay, so I can do maybe 1, 2 comma strokes here off to this side. And maybe I'll just do 1 on that side. Okay, now I can drop my brush on its belly, pull it up to that heart, and create kind of like a circular, I don't want to call it a blob, but you know, I can do that. It's kind of like a comma stroke pulled off. So we have just painted one singular open peony. Okay, there we go. I'm dropping in some extra color. Now look, we can get fancy. We can come in, let me grab a little bit of my orange, just a little bit. I can drop some orange here into my pink, just here and there, and let that color, it's just going to give it some interest, right? We need interesting art. All right, so I'm going to drop and pull some of this paint off my brush, or the water, and then I'm going to grab a little bit more of that green yellow that I have here. And remember, I'm just going to add some line work in there. It's okay. It is okay. You can use a little bit of green in there. And look, watch the magic, right? I'm going to take green on my brush now. And I'm going to just come from the bottom. And yes, I'm going to touch that petal with my green. And I'm going to pull down a stem. And I'm going to let that pink and that green blend a bit. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. So maybe I'm just going to come over here while I've got it out and just make another stem. They don't have to be together. And remember that push, pull, lift that we did on the other page. I'm going to drop, pull, push, wiggle back and lift. And I can make my petals nice and big and fat and wide. That same way. Okay, see that? I can blend that together, can add in a drop or two of a different color. Just have fun with this, guys. Art is meant for fun, right? So I'm just dropping in a few hints of leaves there. And I'm going to come up here now, and we're going to work on this one. Right, so we're going to do one more closed peony here, and then we will wrap up. Again, if you would like to share with me the artwork that you make from our tutorials, you can either email them to me at hello@lollydoodlestudios.com. You can come and share them with us in our Facebook page. Usually on Wednesdays, we ask that you share your work. I would love it if you would just come over and drop your work with us in there. So I'm going to do one ball. I'm doing that heart shape, but I'm rounding it. I'm going to do another one. You know what? I'm going to leave the inside of that petal. I'm going to leave a lot of open wet space there. All right. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom. I'm just reversing this, and then I'm going to press my brush down at the top. So I'm starting at the bottom, coming up and around and lifting, just like we did there, but I'm pulling it. I want it closed. This one is going to be a closed peony. Remember, I can come in and drop some of that orange to create a little bit of interest. Leave some white space. Now, I'm going to do right here, we're going to give this a shot. I'm going to grab some of my green. It's a little too bright. I'm going to grab some of my pink, mix it in with my green to tone it down. I am going to do a comma stroke. This is green. We're going to make like a guard petal. When they first start opening, I'm going to drop it. I'm going to make a comma stroke, pull it up, and let it meet at the base of that peony. I can do a few of those and let that meet at the base of that peony. And when that dries, that green is going to mesh beautifully with that pink. It's not super, super, super soaking wet that it's going to make a big muddy brown mess. But you guys need to let me know if you like this video. Please let others know. Share it. Let me know what you think. Please share the photos of your work with me. It makes me extremely happy to see it. I hope you enjoyed painting peonies tonight. I will see you again next Wednesday for more Watercolor Wednesday. Have a great night, guys.